now removed, and I've got stuff situated so we can do the comparison. Alright, first what we're going to start with is what these guns come with. They both come with a spare stock. This one's the axe, the Eclipse one's over there, so pretty much it's barrel stock. The Empire axe comes with lube, and so does the Eclipse ETHA. Personally, the lube that comes with the ETHA is quite a bit better, considering this stuff is, this little canister here is so thick, or so slick, I can't even open it. But I've never used it, because I just use dye. It's easier. So the ETHA comes with better lube. But I do like the little box that the axe comes with compared to the little baggie. I mean, everything's labeled and stuff, which helps, but this is just easier to keep track of than this. So the Allen key set better with the ETHA. It's a $10 Allen key set alone. Manual definitely better with the ETHA because it's a standard full color manual. The other one's a disc. So now we're actually going to get into the guns, which requires me to use an Allen key so we can check out the bolts. Let's start at the ASAs here. The Planet Eclipse ETHA has a on-off ASA, just standard twist on-off ASA. It works a lot better than the old ETHA one. It's a lot easier to get your hands on here. So that's that for the ETHA. Now for the Empire axe, it has your standard flip ASA. Just flick it. So yeah, personally, oops, it's okay, it's stock barrel, I don't use it. Personally, the ASAs, they're, to me, using these guns both, it's really hard to actually tell the difference. I mean, it's obvious what the difference is, how they operate, but when you're using it, it's pretty much the same thing. They both bleed after you degas it, so they're pretty close to the same, so we're going to give that a tie. Now let's go on to the regulator. The Eclipse regulator is one of the best regulators on the market. It competes with dye and all those. It's the SL3. This is what comes on the $1,200 guns all the way down to the $400 ETHA. It's one of the best regulators out there. It's amazing. The Empire axe, I've never really checked out the regulator because it's in the grip and you don't really need to check it out. It's pretty consistent. I wouldn't say it's as consistent as the ETHAs. I get about a plus or minus 8 to 10 with the axe, plus or minus about 5 with the ETHA. So, and that's when they're broken in, which is a requirement for pretty much all guns. Next we'll go to the boards. Oh, by the way, the ETHA won that one. We'll go to the boards. The ETHA board is a little easier to operate. It's one LED right here. Just turns on, and you can do it manually by going into your settings mode. With the axe, unfortunately, you have to take off this grip here to get to it. Other than that, it's easy to turn on. Just turn it on. It's a little hard to program, which is why they came out with all the Virtue board and the red line. But just switch the eyes off here. So yeah, you just hold it to turn it off. So yeah, the ETHA wins in the board settings. They all have the same settings. This one's easier to switch the settings and everything. Next we'll move up to milling. The ETHA is a little more sleek, if you can tell. There's nothing sticking off to the side. It's sleek down each side here. The milling is pretty nice. It has similar milling to a GO2, other than this stuff. The axe looks pretty cool. It's got the nice little waves here. It's not as sleek. You got your eye covers. Let me see. You got your eye covers off to the sides here, one on each side, and you got the gauge right here. But overall looks, the ETHA's got better milling, so the ETHA wins there. Grips, they both have an advantage and a disadvantage. The axe has wraparound, standard wraparound grips, nice rubbery wraparound grips. The ETHA has panel grips, which means it only requires one screw right there to unscrew it, which is really nice. But they're not as rubbery, they're a little more solid and durable, which is why I think I'll go with the axe on grips. So yeah. Next is let's see here, let's do the feed neck. The axe feed neck is the same feed neck as the Mini, and the ETHA feed neck is the same feed neck as the ETHA. So they're all based off a different gun feed neck. They're pretty similar. One thing I don't like about the axe feed neck is it's hard to show you, but those little rivets, they got little rivets in there. They're supposed to lock on your hopper real nice. Well, that, as you can see here on my rotor, if you don't loosen it before you take off your hopper, it'll slowly just rip off whatever paint's on there. It's not, it looks a lot worse on camera, it actually, but yeah, it looks a lot worse on camera. It's still nice and red on for me, but yeah. So that's the bad thing about that one, but overall they're pretty much the same. It's clamping feed neck. Stock barrel, Eclipse wins. Eclipse will win almost any stock barrel contest. Shaft 4s are one of the shooter straighting barrels out there as a stock barrel, rather than this 12-inch. It works, it gets the job done if you can't afford to get a new barrel, but eventually you're definitely want to get rid of this barrel. It's still a very nice barrel. It's better than spider barrels and all that, but you'll eventually want to get rid of it. Maintenance. The ETHA is supposed to be simple, toolless design, bolt out the back. Unfortunately, if you put it in with an Allen key, you need to get it out with an Allen key, so we'll go ahead and take it out. Oops. Here. It helps if I do it where I can see it better. Alright. So there we go. So here's your entire bolt engine right there. Yeah, it's pretty easy to maintain. It requires very little maintenance between them all. Simple spring, bolt, and then you can unscrew that and just lube up the O-rings very little. So there's that bolt engine. And then the easiest bolt, one of the easiest bolts out there to take out is the axe. The Lux bolt's pretty easy, and I think the Vapor bolt's about the same as the Lux bolt. So there's your axe bolt, and they're actually, if you look at them, they're somewhat similar. Of course, this one has the this one has the chamber in here, so it kind of conceals all the O-rings, and the axe doesn't. But the overall bolt is very similar. Like just the bolt head. Springs different. Can't really use the springs because the ETHA is a bit heavy duty spring. But yeah, both very easy to maintain. They're pretty much a tie there. Now I'll go ahead and put them back in with that. Triggers. Personally, people say that ETHA triggers are really nice. I personally like the axe trigger. They're both very easy to adjust, set to your personal preference. It's all up to you, but to me, the axe trigger just feels better. It's a lot lighter, it feels smoother to pull than ETHA. The ETHA's still got a great trigger. It'll beat most triggers out there on the market. But it feels better with the axe trigger. So basically now what we're going to talk about is